Hello my fellow presenters. Okay, in this video I'm going to talk about a few things that you can do to make sure that your credit score is top notch. Why is this important? Maybe you move to your local major city like London and you think, I am not going to be able to buy a place anytime soon. I can just about manage to rent somewhere. But this is important because you never know where life's going to take you, and even if you go through an estate agent, they probably will do a credit check on you. It's standard procedure, so you want to make sure that you've ticked as many boxes as possible. But also, you never know where life's going to take you. Maybe you're going to meet somebody that you're going to buy a flat with, might be a friend, might be a partner. That might happen for you and you'll need to do it then. Perhaps there's something that you're going to invest in for your sustainability as a self-employed freelancer in the city. Perhaps you might buy a buy-to-let. Maybe you might also get a loan for a business that you're going to build up that started out as a side hustle, but it's now going to become a fully fledged business. You never know. So it's really important that you just have this in place and you know what things to do and you don't miss a trick. And often a lot of people forget about things that they can already start doing. Okay, number one, it sounds obvious, but just make sure you always pay your bills. Always pay your bills on time, because so that for the last 6 years, there's no, that they've not paid their mobile phone this month. It might just be something that's an accidental oversight, but you want to make sure that you are really on it. Now, obviously, direct debits is the best way to do this, but I'm going to stress this point with another example, because when I spoke about how my phone was snatched, one thing that happened was they managed to rack up charges on an Apple iPhone or on an Apple account, and they charged that to my phone. And it happened at night on Oxford Street. I didn't realize that that's why, that's something that they could do. And it wasn't until I went into the store the next day that I realized, okay, they've got these charges. Or I didn't actually realize that they had put those charges on until I looked at my bill. So when my phone was snatched in central London by some moped thugs, not moped, but bike thug kids, I wasn't actually able to change my SIM over until I went into the shop the next day, because I use my phone as my internet. It really sort of put me out of whack. It was so annoying. I actually tether off my phone because I mentioned that before in a previous video. But they managed to charge a load of Apple credits to my phone where they made purchases on the Apple Store. I didn't even know that this was something that they could do. And now obviously I wanted to contest these charges and say, look, I did not pay for these. This was a thief that had done this. But I actually had to still pay it and then seek to claim it back. And I didn't get all of it back, but alas, on to the next. But I actually had to pay it because otherwise it would go down as me not having paid my bill and on time, and I didn't want to take that risk because my credit file was more important in the long term. Okay, number two. The next thing that you need to do is, and this is a difficult ask, you need to make sure that your address doesn't change so often over the next 3 years, because it basically makes you seem like you're a risky borrower to them. Now it's difficult because you live in a house share, your rent hikes up, so maybe you're being proactive and now you're going to live here, you're going to live somewhere else. And this is the answer that I would have for that. And I'm not a financial advisor, different people have different opinions on this. But if you have a home base, perhaps a family home where you grew up, that's outside of London like I had, still keep a lot of your posts that you can there at your family home, because that way it's less chaotic in terms of you constantly moving address, and it's less chaotic administration for you, and also it shows some consistency that address is linked to your living. That's something that I did. I don't know how people feel about it, if that's a way of sort of that's sort of being deceitful, but genuinely that's always been my family home, and it's been a consistent, and often a lot of people and institutions that I would speak to would sort of understand that. The only place I wouldn't do that for is for your self-assessment tax return. I think that's really important, particularly when it comes to, if you need to claim things against your business and costs that you incur. It's important they know where you operate and where you live, and the costs that you have. So I wouldn't do it there. And also, if you register on the electoral roll, which is my next point. But I think, particularly for banks and things like that, if you can keep those there, I think that that helps generally. Unless, on that, you feel that you are in quite a secure tenancy where you are and you can be there for 3 years, so you might then just change everything over. But if you're in an insecure house share, you're living with randoms that people are coming in and out, you don't know if somebody wants to take the house back, I personally wouldn't do that, and I would really think about not having your address history changed so much. And this is something that I think unfairly affects the younger generation or the younger generations, or those that live in cities that are very much trying to make their way. But I think it's important that you're made aware of this. Okay, so number 3, I'd already mentioned it. Make sure you put yourself on the electoral roll. It just means that you're more officially registered, I guess, and it just is another tick in the box that you have. And you can do that in the borough where you live. So I've done that as well. And also that does help for documentation when you do need to sort of prove where you genuinely live, and if you don't live in your family home. Okay, and then the last one, this is the most important one actually. Well, paying the bills is the most important on time. But this is a trick that a lot of people miss. You might be somebody that's really sort of financially astute, or somebody that's financially very careful with their money, and you think, okay, I'm always going to live within my means, but I'm actually going to encourage you to get a credit card. Why? Because this is the opportunity for lenders, or anybody that you might ask to borrow from. Sorry, it's really hot in here. Anybody that you might ask to borrow from in the future, and I think a lot of people will envisage doing this in some capacity at some point later on in their life. This is really important so that they see some kind of borrowing history where you do pay things off on time. So having a mobile phone contract does help part of the way, but really getting a credit card out is really good. And often if you get something like the Amex credit card is really good, because there's often an offer there, where introductory offer where you get 5% back. It's the free card, and you can get up to £100 in cashback. And they have great customer service, I would say. At the moment, I'm really using the Plutus card to build up my kind of rewards portfolio, and I'm building up some kind of crypto there just off of my everyday spending. But that's a debit card. The Amex card is a great thing that you can do, and you can just put it in discipline that you just pay off the balance every month. The app's really easy to use, so I would recommend getting a credit card like Amex. There's other things that you could do as well. Perhaps you want to accumulate air miles. Perhaps you shop in, I don't know, Sainsbury's a lot, so you might get the Nectar credit card. Amazon have a credit card as well, but make sure you get some kind of credit card. Okay, so there you have it. Those are the things that you can do. There's often that saying where you never know where you're going to be in life, but they say luck is where preparedness meets opportunity. So have this as something that you've got preparation in place, and then you have this opportunity, and then voila, you have the luck of both of those things. It's really important that you have both of those together. Okay, the other thing I would say is, in terms of checking your credit score, I think Money Saving Expert is a great one that you can use. They've got one, Experience another that has a free trial, I understand, but you can use the Money Saving Expert one, put your details in there, and so you can get an idea of what your credit score currently looks like, and it will give you an idea of the things that you can do. Get started now. Don't delay on your freelancer journey to independence. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.